Hello, and welcome to Be Here Now, the Peaceful Empowerment Works show, where presence invites perspective and allows peace. We are live on newstreamingnetwork.com, home of goingboldmedia.com, goingsolomedia.com, and WGSN-DB. If you enjoy the content that Janice and I put out there, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. I am your co-host, Judy Forder, and I am here with my co-host in peace, Miss
Janice Leonard. Hi, everybody. First of all, I want to say, however you do or don't celebrate the holidays over the next week or two, because we have New Year's coming up, we just wanted to say we hope they find peace and happiness and love and family and less stress. Ideally peace, no stress, but we hope we can take some tools this year and make your life peacer. Judy and I bring you this show because we want to be part of your life. We share our stories and the ways we deal with our challenges and hope that we will help you find more peace and tools for your life. We do this with unconditional acceptance and love. We are here because we care. We are a nonprofit 501c3 organization. If you're able to, your donations are tax deductible. If you are able to, you can go to our website, www.peacefulempowermentworks.org, and click the donate button on the top.
Yes.
And with that, I will bring you in. Oops, let me get my fancy microphone set right. Okay.
I love that so much.
I'm the luckiest because I got it right here.
Yeah, our topic today is empowered by the pause, being responsive instead of reactive. And the ringing us in allows the pause. And it allows us to bring ourselves present to be here now. So thank you very much for playing the beautiful bowl. Okay, before we get to the topic of the day, we're going to start with our good news from Janice.
Yay! Oh, see that little clicking she did? So, if you haven't figured it out yet, I do have a thing for animals, and particularly dogs. So this one speaks to my heart because of the unconditional love of your dogs. And this is from the site We Love Animals. I got it from Snapchat, and not that I'm military by any means, but this is about this woman who returns from being gone for quite a while, and her dog when she returns. Over to you, Silverio. Oh man, that love, that unconditional love. But it's so funny because the dog, first of all, for anyone who can't see, doesn't recognize her because she's got her uniform on with her cap. Then she took it off, and you still was like, no, who are you? And then the unconditional love just goes through. And
yeah, like once he got close enough to smell her, he was like, wait.
That's true. It's the smell. Speaking of smell. Yes. Yeah. So I don't know. I can't help but have a good, warm, fuzzy feeling when I see unconditional love from your dog. I hope you got it too.
Yeah, it's great. It's funny because, everybody, all my siblings, they love animals. And it's not that I don't love animals, I do too, but I don't have quite the passion for them that they do. I was the kid at home that always had to clean up after the dog. So I have that.
Yeah. When I was growing up, my father wouldn't let us get a dog. We only had cats, which, as you know, cats aren't always the most affectionate ones. And we certainly didn't get ours fixed or anything way back then. So they weren't very friendly. And I gotta tell you real quick the story why my father wouldn't let us get dogs.
Why?
He said, because when he was a boy, let me tell you, he said, I had a dog who I loved so much. When the Iceman came to deliver the ice, that makes me, he was that old. He said that the dog went after him and he took the ice pick and he swung at him and killed him. Why am I saying this terrible story? I don't know. But that's why. So they had to, the dog died. And because he had that loss of this dog from the ice pick man, the ice pick man, that we couldn't get dogs.
That trauma.
So, yeah. So then I, smart me, said, yeah, but then why did you have us? Because we could die. And then that would be a terrible loss. So then why did you have any kids?
False logic, right?
Yes. It didn't work though. We still didn't get them. So then I got to have
trauma he did not want to deal with.
No. So of course, then as soon as I could get a dog, I did. And the first time, I've had lots of dogs, unfortunately. Well, it's been a lot of years, but the first time that dog passed, oh my gosh, that was terrible. And back in those days, the vet came to my house and put him down, and I got to hold him. But I have to say, just because of my trauma, I try not to get too attached, even though I am attached. But it's like I fight it. It's so hard, for people, for anything, because my history. But that I did not know how traumatic that would be.
Yeah, I mean, dogs. Again, in my experience, it's been a lot of dogs. We've had a couple cats, but we've had more dogs. And like you said, the unconditional love is just, it doesn't matter. You can holler at them 1 minute and the next minute they want to sit on your lap. They want to cuddle with you. I like to tell myself they forget. I think there's, information out there that says that they have a short memory, but I don't think so. I feel like trauma is trauma. And
yeah. Yep.
Yeah, but they shower you with that unconditional love. The dog's waiting for you at the door when you get home. And I have a little one that yaps. He's a yapper. And it hurts my ears in the entryway because it echoes and all. And it's like, oh, just be quiet. Guess I'm home.
Yeah.
When he's
I got a head injury a few years back, and any noises, any chaos, anything would just, and I have one of those chihuahuas. So there were a few tough years there.
Yeah, I bet. All right.
Anyways, so the happy part was, sorry about that.
That went dark so fast.
I thought it'd be a cute little story about the ice pick man, the man with the ice pick, but that was kind of sad. Anyway, so when the dog realized it was her, he went crazy, jumped all over her, loving her. Okay. It was a real nice, happy ending.
Good news went dark.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, my gosh. All right. Well, let's see if we can elevate this a little bit with our attitude is everything weekly affirmation.
Oh, goodness me. Oh, I got to do a ding. That's my Tibetan bowl, by the way.
Beautiful.
You're supposed to be able to go around and around like the crystal ball, but I can't make it work. So you just get the ding. Weekly affirmation. Of course, that's why I pick the ones that speak to me. Mm-hmm. And this one is hard because there's a lot of stress right now. And I have to tell you, I've had a few little spots back into the dark place over the last few weeks. And as we go closer to Christmas, and it was, like my grandson, I went and picked him up from school yesterday, and he said, "Do you like Christmas?" And I was like, "Wow, this kid, he just makes me think." And I was like, "Well, I liked it when I was a kid," and blah, blah, blah. I said, right now it's hard because you worry about the money and you worry about, am I going to make everyone happy?
Mm.
I know, because you want it to be magical because, it's got to be magical, right? I said, it's hard. He says, well, I still find it magical. He's 15. So I was like, oh, bless you. Thank you. So I'm feeling a little better today after my wonderful talk with my hand. He says, and I don't care what you get me. I love
Aw.
him. So, but for all of us who are struggling with the holidays and politics and everything else that's going on, we're darker now than maybe we want to be. But this is why this one is a great one to do for this week. I am stronger than my anxiety, and I have the power to overcome it. My thoughts don't. Oh, I'm not doing the we because it's speaking to me so much this week. I'm sorry about that. I'm going to do the we one instead. Let me do that.
Own it. You got this.
Own it. I'll own it. Okay. I am stronger than my anxiety, and I have the power to overcome it. My thoughts do not define me, and I can challenge and change them to create peace in my mind.
Yes.
'Tis the season.
And so it is. Beautiful and powerful. And it was important. You said the eyes and the mind.
Yeah, that's
Very,
right. It is.
very important that you own it. Beautiful. All right, let's move on to pearls of wisdom. See what the pearls are today. All right. And this goes right along with the theme, like Janice was talking about. This can be a very stressful time of year. The calmer you are, the clearer you think. Let your decisions come from a place of peace, not from reaction.
Oh, I have to admit, I've let a few reactions come through in the last week.
And when you do, you need to give yourself grace. We are
I
human.
know.
We are a work in progress.
Yeah, I know. My first thought is, oh, I'm so embarrassed, but peace.
It happens.
Yeah.
The biggest thing right now that I'm seeing in my life and what's going on is the awareness of if the reaction happens, if the old pattern rears its head. Once there's awareness, then we have choices. You're aware of the fact that you reacted. Okay, well, you have a choice. It's funny. And I was wondering, I was hearing this over and over again leading up to the show and thinking why. I worked with a woman at one point when my daughter was very young, and I said something about apologizing to my daughter, and she was like, never apologize to your kids. That's a sign of weakness. And I thought to myself, how is that a sign of weakness? It's taking responsibility for my part in what happened, because my daughter and I were very much alike. So we would clash heads, and she's stubborn and I'm stubborn, and she wants to be, and she's 4 years old, wants to be in control. I want to be in control. And I was not handling things well at all. But I did know that when I messed up, that I was going to apologize to her because, I wasn't handed a book on how to raise Maddie, and yes, there are parenting books out there, but every kid's different. And I was working from my wounds, and here's this kid. So there was a lot of different things going on. But when I heard that, at least I knew enough to know that that wasn't right for me.
Good deal.
Yeah. And it was only because I felt like I was constantly apologizing for reacting. I didn't have the emotional intelligence to stop and pause when she would trigger me. I have all the terms now. I have all that now. I didn't have that then.
Yeah.
And, I grew up in a house where my mother was, she was very sweet, kind, and peaceful until she wasn't. And when she wasn't, it was hard to swallow. So, the rage would come out, and that's what I was modeling. That's what I was repeating. So, the topic for today, I feel like is perfect. Because the more stress that we're under, the more reactive we are. Because that stress puts us in, like we talk about on the show, zone 1. It puts us in that fight or flight zone. And when we're there, we don't have the presence to pause and respond, because we're just thinking about surviving and making it through.
Interesting is this week, one of my meltdowns is so you work on yourself, sure, but then my husband was being reactive. He got mad, and I take it's about me. Of course, it's always about me. And he got mad, and he talks mad to me, but it wasn't about me. But anyways, and I was like, "What did I do wrong?" Oh, and I went in my room and cried, and come on. Actually, it's just one little thing came up, and I said, "I think I'll say it, even though it's really off." I said, I'm not a bad girl. It's interesting because the fact that came to me at all, I got to process that. But I was like, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not a bad girl. Oh my gosh. It's like.
That was your little girl. Your little girl wanted to know why she was in trouble.
It doesn't matter how hard you try, you're always in progress. And I work on myself, but you got to remember, it's not just you, it's all the people around you, because he's responding. I'm like, what did I do? What is it that's going on? And he couldn't even really tell me, because he's in the place, so you got yourself that you're working on, and then something else will come in from somebody else who's having a hard time. So that's what makes this time of year difficult, or times of stress or whatever, because it's not just you that's working on yourself, as you have to work on the people around you.
Well, and like you said, you're working on yourself, and then you're going to go be around family that you're not around every single day. And yeah, this is the perfect segue into what it is we're talking about today. Because if you're watching this show, you've done some work and you have awareness, and these processes have been going on, and you're noticing patterns within yourself. So when you get together with the family and the friends, those patterns, I actually enjoy it now, is sitting and watching the patterns unfold. So I think, let's just scoot on through to Pathways of Peace, and let's talk about the difference between responsive and Perfect. Thank you. All right. So I thought the best thing to do was give the definition. What responsive? We want to be responsive. Being responsive means paying attention to what others say and do. It is a key interpersonal skill that can help build trust, rapport, and collaboration with others. Reactive. Yeah, to be reactive is to be ready to react or respond to something else. A person who's reactive does things only in response to others. To react is to do something else. When someone pinches you, for example, you react. So something has to happen to you in order for you to do or say whatever's there. And, when I read those things, the biggest thing that stands out as far as reactive in how I feel like I am, when I am listening to someone who's sharing, and I'm more thinking about how I'm going to respond, what I'm going to say, versus holding the space and listening so that I can receive and hear all of the information that's being shared, then I know I'm being reactive. Then I know I'm triggered in some way. They said something that triggered me, and I'm going to have the best response to get them. Whereas
my reactive's a little different. I'll go cry in the room, but it's about me. I suppose my reactive thing is what I do.
Mm-hmm. So you say you go to your room. So it's almost, you said something about running shoes. Did you say something about running shoes in the pregame? No.
I doubt it.
I feel like that was a client. But it's funny. You said you go to your room. I saw you with your little running outfit on, running away.
Yeah.
Well, and think about it. That's fight or flight. You choose flight. Me, when I'm reactive, I choose fight. I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna take you down one way or another. And that's what I know my ego is, front and center.
Oh, it's kind of funny because part of my reactive, and this probably goes to my brother, because he was such a great brother that, when he'd do something to me, because, he's a brother, mean to me. Like one time he turned the TV off on me, wouldn't let me turn it on. And then he I don't remember what he did, but he did something. And same thing with my husband is then I cry, like I go into that, no, or run to my room. But my brother taught me ding. My brother taught me if I do that, he'll feel bad and he'll apologize.
Ooh.
and even my husband,
Uh-huh.
it took him a little too long, in my opinion, but he did. He did come back and apologize to me. Interesting.
Okay. So when you respond instead of react, what does that look like?
Well, I don't take it personally, but okay. What does it look like? What does it look like? Okay, he's yelling at me.
Uh-huh.
I would love to be able to just sit there and stare at him saying, what's really going on?
Okay. Okay. I mean, and that's huge. Responsive. I know that I'm able to respond when I'm listening, taking in the information, and I'm not trying to craft a response. And we've talked about holding space on the show before. I'm holding the space. I'm remaining neutral. There's no judgment so that the person can share. And I know you do the same because you've done it.
Yeah. But when times of stress.
Yes, this is where we really need to start pulling on our tools. And, okay. And one of the greatest gifts that we have is our breath. Taking a deep breath and pausing. And on that note, I think this is a good space for us to take a commercial, and we'll be right back.
Okay.
Hello and welcome back to Be Here Now, the Peaceful Empowerment Works show. I am here with my co-host, Miss Janice, and we are talking about being empowered by the pause, responding instead of reacting. And we were talking a little bit about the difference between the two, how it shows up in our lives. And now we want to share some tips, some tools, some things that are quickly accessible to us. And like Janice says, when you're in those periods of stress, it's difficult. But one of the first things that I'll do is breathe, to the point where if I take a deep breath, my daughter looks at me and says, "Are you okay? Is everything all right?"
Oh, isn't that nice?
Yes. So if you can just think to take some deep breaths. And why? Well, because A, it creates space, and B, it literally gets more oxygen to your brain. Because when we're doing that short, rapid breathing, when we're stressed and anxious, we're not getting enough oxygen to the brain. So we cannot think clearly. When we breathe, we get that oxygen to the brain, and we can start to think our way out of fight or flight.
One thing that's worked for me is I'm like body, and what I do is I just listen to my breathing. I'll just, oh my gosh, I'm not really breathing. I'm just, and then I'm like, okay, take a breath. So it's like to be aware that I'm not breathing and that I need to breathe. The first thing I do is I try to say body, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I doing to my body right now? Not breathing. Okay. So that's how I get my pause in when I'm being successful. I just make myself like notice it, because whoa, that shallow breathing, it's just, here, you don't do anything below your just the lungs.
Exactly. Yes, and I love that. Just saying body triggers you to go within, check in, Check in with yourself. How you doing? I love that. Uh, and then once you get more oxygen going to your brain, you can start to think about, okay, I'm going to listen for understanding. You can, as your husband's yelling, you can sit there and think, okay, well, what's really going on with him right now? Instead of how am I going to defend myself? It's okay, well, what's really happening? And then that
It's
allows
not about me. It can't be about me.
about that allows you to sit in that I call it the observation deck, non-judgmental observation deck, where we observe, we don't absorb. And that's where not taking it personally comes in. Him acting out and allowing his anger to be shown, A, tells you it's a safe place for him to express his emotions. B, check in. Is it directed at me or is he just releasing?
It's interesting because I don't drive well at night anymore. So when we bring my granddaughter to her horse lesson, it's dark when she's done. And on Tuesdays, I work my other job. I'm not around. So he has to bring her to horse lessons. And then it's dark when she gets out. So he has to pick her up. So that's like for him, he was like mad because I wasn't, doing my part. So it was kind of directed at me, but it really wasn't. I mean, yes, it was directed at me, but for him, what it was really about, and not that you can do this kind of thinking, 5 layers down when you're in the moment, but I know for him, it's just, he's feeling overwhelmed. He's feeling overwhelmed. That's what it was about. It wasn't
Right.
about, I wasn't picking her up, although it felt like that's what it was about.
Right.
So yeah, so sometimes it's harder to go to the, what's it really about, deep breath and paying attention without, I'm not able to take care of you. This is how I got to the point with him is I can't take care of your problems too anymore. 'Cause I used to, okay, so he's overwhelmed because blah, 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 and I guess I don't want to do that anymore. But there's a difference between being the caretaker and just, okay, this isn't about me. He's overwhelmed. I don't have to fix it all, but I
Right.
can, but
And that's the
you
biggest
got,
thing. That's the
yeah.
biggest thing, Janice, is you don't have to fix it. You don't have to fix it. The taking the breath and being able to see that it's not about you. He's overwhelmed allows you to sit there and just hold the space for him, because that lets down your walls. And it was very funny because, the universe has been putting people in front of me that I have been finding interesting and helpful. And this Dr. Becky Bailey from Conscious Discipline was put in front of me yesterday. So I've been watching some of her reels and her information. And it's so funny. Even in our pre-meeting, you were talking about not taking things personally. And one of her things is Q-tip. Use the Q-tip. Quit taking it personally. So like you have body, I was thinking you got body. Okay, body, Q-tip. Those are 2 things, 2 words that can trigger you to breathe. Yes.
Yeah.
Breathe and pause. And I thought, what a great thing. Because we have the books, the 4 agreements. And one of the agreements is don't take things personally. Q-tip is a nice, easy thing that you can use amongst your family. I plan on sharing it with the family. And just being like Q-tip, because we got triggered down. I'm triggered.
Oh, that would be fun to teach my family that, I think.
I know the whole, once everybody learned the verbiage of I'm triggered, it invited in the pause. Because there was an understanding of where each other was, and you don't want to engage when you're triggered. That's where the pause comes in too. Because if you're triggered and you're keeping the conversation going, you're going to accomplish nothing but hurting each other and pissing each other off.
Well, yeah, because even my husband getting mad about the driving, he was being triggered. So, maybe I don't even have to, I can just stop it there. Just say, oh, you're being triggered. And
Yeah.
Working with that. What's really going on? I like that.
Exactly. And with Maddie and I being at odds, that was as soon as we could recognize either I myself was triggered or she was triggered, we would point it out to one another and be
Mm.
like, okay, you're triggered. We're done. We're going to go to our corners, breathe, calm down, and then we'll come back.
Mm.
Because when you're in that triggered state, nothing good happens. Nothing.
That's so true. Yeah,
Absolutely.
and my granddaughter gets triggered, and when she gets triggered, it's like from 0 to 1,000
Mhm.
in a split second. If we could stop it there somehow, get to the point where we can stop it, that would be great.
Yes.
And then,
yeah. And the one thing that I'm hearing is we want to make sure it's not about stuffing the emotion down. It's the fact that you're triggered. Okay, go ahead to your room, work through this. I'll work through mine, and then we'll regroup.
yeah,
It's not about stuffing it down. It's okay to be triggered. Just go work through it. Because the trigger is telling you something. The trigger indicates there's healing that needs to be done.
that reminds me. This week, Adriana, it was last week. I don't know. Adriana, that's my granddaughter. She doesn't get angry too often. Well, really angry too often.
Mm-hmm.
And she ended up getting angry at school. And I'm like, anger's bad. And I probably taught that to my kids,
Mm-hmm.
not her. But I'm sure I affect her, my feelings about anger. And you know what I realized this week? I realized, of course, it's okay that she gets angry. I think she's in a situation that warranted her being angry.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's taking the pause and like, let's, not that, she's ready to learn that yet, but,
Mm-hmm.
taking the pause and how do you express that anger after,
Right.
because just, making snide comments to the teacher, let's say that doesn't work, It
Right.
doesn't get you what you want, so, oh, interesting. Yeah. I
Yeah.
just connected the two.
Perfect. Perfect. And, one of the big things was moving from judgment because we have such a judgment based society. Moving from judgment to non judgment. How do you even do that? And
Mm.
something that this Dr. Bailey talked about was noticing. You move from judgment to noticing. And that's something I've always talked about, collecting data. You're collecting data. So you're going to watch and see what people are doing. And once you move into noticing, that takes you out of that judgment mind because you literally are just collecting the data. You're seeing things as they happen. In order to notice, you must be present. You must be here now. See how that ties together, Jen?
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah. So and when you notice, you can start to put words to what's going on. You can put words to the actions. You can put words to the energy. You can put words to the emotion. So the noticing makes the nonverbal verbal. And that brings awareness. And with that awareness, you have choice. And it all starts with the pause. It
Yep.
all starts with the pause. Because as long as you're in that fight or flight, that zone 1, and you're not getting enough oxygen to your brain, you're not able to focus. Your only focus is survival, whether it's getting out of this argument without being hurt too much. It's getting out of a situation where I feel like I'm not in control. So I'm angry and I don't know how to handle this. Yeah. I mean,
I was just thinking, I think I'm going to need an extra tool for the next couple weeks. So I just put a rubber band on my wrist. I'm going to just try when I start reacting to snap. Ow! That hurt. But you see, it made me stop. Okay. I think I can take a breath after that. I don't have a choice.
okay. Those of you that don't want to hurt your body. See, everybody has different tools that work for them.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, I'd say the biggest element of awareness for me is I don't like the way I feel. Because of all the sharing that we've done and the people that I have in my life and the work that we do together and the awareness that of being able to recognize when I'm triggered, I have I can confidently say that I have lived more in the past 2 years of my life out of fight or flight than I have in. So when I'm in it, it feels very uncomfortable. It's like I
Mm,
have my shoes on the wrong feet. I'm wearing clothes that are too small. None of it fits right anymore. And
yeah,
to think back where that's where I lived, I was constantly
yeah,
there. I didn't know there was anything different. Um,
yep. Yeah, that
yeah,
fight or flight is the shame. The when you get into the all that talk, that's that's a
yeah,
nasty place to be in. Yeah,
yeah. The shaming, the blaming, what did I do? It's for me, I fall into that victim. Why is this happening to me? Why does and it's everybody all the time.
yep,
And there's not a bit of it that's true, but that's the emotional beating loop I throw myself into.
yep,
So yes, I have, been out of that long enough to know that that doesn't feel good. So when I'm there, that's when I'm so uncomfortable. It's like, okay, what the hell's going on?
yeah,
What's really happening?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. And, Janice, we started our pregame meeting with you saying that you have been reactive. You're aware of it too, because you've lived enough outside of it that when
Yeah,
you are. And there are times that
yeah,
I'm totally reactive and I know it. Like I have that voice in me going, "You're reacting." Does it stop? No, it doesn't.
yeah, yeah. Well, just like the going into the whole time I went into my bedroom and felt sorry for myself or whatever. I did have the voice watching it too at the same time, saying, "Oh, this is embarrassing." And then I let that little, why was I'm not a bad girl, come
Mhm.
out, and I'm like, where the hell did that come from? And it's like this is wow.
Yeah. Yeah. That voice that needs to change. That's what I'm
Yeah,
working on. That beating voice
yeah.
is like, no, that's not true.
I even saw myself saying, "Well, isn't he going to come in and apologize?" I'm in here crying. I mean, I make sure when he comes in, I hide the phone. He doesn't see I'm actually trying to. Oh, that's awful. Oh, he's gonna watch this. Oh no.
But you nailed it. You
He,
knew when you said it goes back to your brother taught you
yeah,
that's how you get the attention and the acknowledgement and the apology. So that's something that you learned.
yeah,
It's huge that it came out
yeah.
during the show. I mean, we talk about point of imprint for patterns all the time. When's the
Yeah.
first time do you that you remember? And there you go. You nailed it live on the show.
Oh,
Always
even
giving,
my dad.
Dennis. You're
Yeah,
always giving.
yeah. I think it's for men particularly because even my father, he couldn't stand me crying.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've had very good men in my life. Here, I'll say that. Not enabling, but very good.
So, and that's what I was going to say. So when you cried, did you get what you wanted?
No, but I got love. Because I cry, I honestly feel like I'm unworthy,
Mhm.
unlovable, and all that at that moment. But I also know that I think I keep it a little longer, or I like, you know, put the phone away when you come in the room. Because I needed that next part. Okay, give me the next part where you tell me I'm okay and you don't. I'm not a bad girl and I didn't do anything wrong and I'm sorry.
And that's where you are your own superhero. You are the to give that grace and that love to
Uh,
your child.
yeah.
Sorry, they told me I had to plug that. I had to say it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes. So I feel like whatever it is, whenever it doesn't matter if you're 2 minutes into it or 2 hours into it, when you can recognize that you're triggered, that's your tool right there. That's your, I just heard that's your get out of jail card is awareness. And that's when you remind yourself to breathe and pause and give yourself a timeout. If you need the timeout, give yourself a timeout. There's going to be a lot of family and friends that you're gathering with, possibly, and a lot of different energies involved. I know for me personally, I'm used to the energy of my home. So when I go out and about, it's like, I have to be prepared to go out there. Um, and really sit and just be the observer. Be the observer and see what you see. Notice things. And in your mind, start putting words to what it is you're noticing. You know, there's no better reflector of generational patterns and belief systems than our families, because that's what we grew up in. So this is a great time for you to collect data.
Yeah.
Pull yourself
And
out.
I think one of the things that I do like observing is seeing, which I'm able to do more objectively now, is seeing what I've passed along to my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So when she's in, I used to just think, poor me because we don't have a good relationship like I wish we had.
Mm-hmm.
But now I say, oh my gosh, she's just stamping back. She's withdrawing. So it's so interesting. We're alike. So yeah. And one of the things, like, just as we're finishing this up, I have a person who's in recovery coming to the house for the holidays, and it's like, okay, to prepare. I'm going to prepare. I am going to observe. I'm going to try to stay in the observing place and not, participate in the chaos if it happens or when it happens. So it's interesting. So that's a good tool, and the breath. And so I'm going to observe and breathe, and breathe.
And if you have to step outside, you step outside.
Yeah.
You do what you have to do to keep your peace. And peace doesn't involve yelling, screaming, blaming, shaming other people or yourself.
Yeah.
You do what you need to do so that you can be at peace. And if you're able to sit on that observation deck, it's a very peaceful place.
Yeah.
When you're able to do it from non-judging and really collecting data and noticing. So, and don't take everything personally. Q-tip. Make sure you take your Q-tips with you.
Yeah. I think I'll wrap a Q-tip around the rubber band.
There you go. It'll be art.
Oh, a nice bracelet.
Exactly.
Thank you.
A little bit. Won't hurt so much.
That's right.
All right. Janice, you have a final thought of the year. Final thought for the year.
Yeah. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Oh, it's awful small. I'm going to have to make it bigger for this blind person. Excuse me. This is for us all. On those days when you miss someone the most, as though your memories, I'm having a hard time reading it.
I'm sorry.
Do you want to read it?
You want me to read it for you? Okay. And then you can comment. All right. It's a poem called On Those Days by Donna Ashworth. On those days when you miss someone the most, as though your memories are sharp enough to slice through skin and bone, remember how they loved you. Remember how they loved you, and do that for yourself. In their name, in their honor, love yourself as they loved you. They would like that. On those days when you miss someone the most, love yourself harder.
That's a whole other aspect of the holiday season that might be hard for you. I love that.
Yeah. Christmas is always a little challenging because it was my mom's favorite time of year. So when Janice sent me this to be on the show, I was like, you are spot on, sweetheart. Spot on. Because even in the joy that I experienced, there's still an underlying level of grief and sadness. So I will definitely continue thinking about loving me as my mom would love me to love me.
Okay.
All right. So any last thoughts, any words beyond this for our viewers? Because this is our last show of the year.
That's right.
Live show.
We love you, love yourself, and do the best you can and enjoy yourself.
And breathe.
Yes.
Yes.
Q-tip.
Thank you for choosing to be here now with us. Please always remember,
you're not alone.
And don't ever forget, you are awesome. And we'll see you next year.
See you next year, everybody. Love you.
Thank you, Severia. Thank you, Janice.
Bye. Thank you.